Everything you need to know to grow a business. Business made simple.
Welcome to day 38 of Business Made Simple, the book and video series that will teach you everything you need to know to grow a business. We're on day 2 talking about how to be a great communicator. How do you give a great presentation? In the last video, we talked about why you should start your presentation with a problem. But now let's get into the meat of the presentation. That's the hook. They're actually interested. And now we got to get into the meat of our talk. Most talks struggle in the middle. I mean, presentations just get so boring in the middle that everybody starts to daydream. There's a number of mistakes presenters make. They think they have this great story and it's a really funny anecdote and it's so funny, people always laugh at it. I've got to get that in my talk. And so they actually put that into their talk, but that story does not fit the overall theme of the presentation, right? I remember when I was younger, I helped a group of directors and producers write a screenplay. It actually took a book that I wrote and we turned it into a major motion picture. And we actually filmed the motion picture, released it in theaters all over the country. And there was one scene that I wrote that I really loved. And I just thought it was the funniest scene. We surveyed audiences. They loved the scene without seeing the whole movie. We just showed them that scene. And the director came to me one day and said, "Don, we got to cut that scene." And I said, "Oh, come on, that's a really funny scene. It's a great scene." "Don, it just doesn't fit the theme of the movie. The controlling idea of the movie is X. This is off the controlling idea. People are going to lose interest in the middle of the movie because we pivoted our message." And he explained it to me. And you know what? He was right. We cut the scene from the movie. I hated to see it go, but the movie was better. Your presentation consists of plots and subplots. There's an overall theme. The theme is the problem that you solve. In story structure, we call that the controlling idea. And your story needs a controlling idea. In the Jason Bourne stories, the controlling idea is that Jason must figure out who he is in order to save his own life, right? He's got to figure that out. That's the controlling idea. What that means is everything that we put in that story, everything that we put in that film must be a subplot to the controlling idea. If the whole story is he's got to figure out who he really is, and we put in a couple scenes where he's trying to repair a relationship with his stepfather. You see how terrible that is? Everybody just, it's like hitting the brakes, and people are going, why is there a conversation about the stepfather? And you'd say, that's a really great scene. It actually happened in his life. And he's, sorry, you got to cut it. And that is a huge mistake that presenters make. They got this great story, this funny anecdote, and they stick it in there. And it just doesn't have anything to do with the actual controlling idea of the talk. So what is the controlling idea of your talk? And maybe it's time to add a new sales representative, right? We've got to add a new sales representative. That's the controlling idea of my talk. Everything I put in there, all the data that I put in the talk has to reflect the idea that we're losing money because we don't have a new sales rep, right? The talk may be if we lease a new building rather than buy, our cash flow will be much better, right? Then everything has to obey that idea. All your subplots in your talk have to obey that plot. Then you actually have to be disciplined in your presentation to make everything fall under the controlling idea. You have to be able to let go of really precious stories and precious jokes that don't have anything to do with the controlling idea. What I'm trying to solve for you here is the reason that people get so bogged down in the middle of your presentation, the reason that they stop being interested or paying attention is you threw in too many plot points, right? If Jason Bourne wants to know who he is, that's the plot of the story. Then all of my sub-points, Jason has to escape this hotel room, he has to win this car chase, he has to get the document out of the FBI file. It all has to do with him trying to figure out who he is. Those are the subplots of the plot, right? So an example, a plot is we should hire a new sales representative. Subplot, leads are flowing in, but they are being neglected. New clients do not feel cared for. Customer satisfaction is in decline. Our high sales are distracting us from even larger opportunities. Those are all subplots within the plot of your presentation. The plot and subplot go together. You cannot add, this is also true in manufacturing. Let's look at manufacturing. You'll ruin the presentation. It burns too many calories. Your audience is having to process too much information to follow you easily. Your presentation should have a controlling idea. It should be the plot of your presentation, and everything else should be a subplot. Any professional who can make all their points a subplot of the big idea is a great communicator and is worth more on the open market. Here's today's Business Made Simple tip of the day. Break your presentation down into plots and subplots and know your controlling idea before you even get started.